Tonight, hundreds of jobs are saved at the Alexander Dennis bus factory. The company's keeping manufacturing in Falkirk after the Scottish Government stepped in with a £4 million furlough package to keep paying workers.
It's a great, hope that there is a future here and we can prove ourselves again.
I think you can see all the smiling faces and things today, so yeah, great news.
But on Clydeside, it's a different story. Shipyard workers there say they need a crucial ferry contract to secure Ferguson's future and Inverclyde's fortunes. In sport, as under pressure, Russell Martin retains the support of the Rangers board. Fans threaten to boycott matches until he's sacked. And the kids sitting down for the next chapter from one of the world's most famous children's authors. I'm Kellyanne Woodland. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. Hundreds of workers at Alexander Dennis have been told their jobs are safe for now. The First Minister is pledging a £4 million furlough scheme. That means workers will keep being paid for the next few months, and the bus manufacturer's closure has been halted. The company had previously planned to shut down production in Falkirk and Larbert, cut 400 jobs and shift production to Yorkshire. Well, our reporter Amy Flett is outside the yard tonight. Amy, relief that jobs are safe.
Yeah, there certainly is, Kellyanne. For an area not too far away from Grangemouth, where oil refining came to a halt earlier this year, the prospect of losing 400 more jobs came as a complete blow to the community. But it's a different picture today. This announcement brings a glimmer of hope, not only to the workers, but those living here as well. Now, the furlough scheme that's been pledged is something we're all familiar with and will be a huge financial support to staff, but it all depends on the firm securing future contracts. For these workers, the last 3 months have been filled with uncertainty.
It's been difficult, definitely a difficult time. Not really been doing much, quite demoralising if anything, just sitting. Nothing.
It's been hard to watch guys for the last 9 weeks with nothing to do, and as the buses have moved out, it's what is the future for everyone, and it's all anyone can talk about in the factory.
In June, bus manufacturer Alexander Dennis announced plans to shut down production in Scotland and move operations to Yorkshire, putting 400 jobs at risk. But today, during a visit to the firm in Larbert, First Minister John Swinney pledged a £4 million furlough scheme to help keep the company afloat.
The government's given a commitment of up to 6 months for the furlough scheme. It's part of the wider work that we're taking forward with Alexander Dennis, which has seen a strengthening of the order book of the company. The workforce obviously have contributed enormously by adapting the terms and conditions and agreeing to that adaptation. So this is a perfect example of Alexander Dennis, its workforce and the government working together to secure the future of manufacturing in Scotland, and I'm delighted that we've achieved this outcome.
The furlough scheme is the first of its kind to receive Scottish Government backing, providing 80% of funding, while Alexander Dennis will make up the rest. For staff, it's a welcomed relief.
It's a great, hope that there is a future here and we can prove ourselves again.
Bringing up our mental health and stuff, so it's brilliant to hear, and yeah, good to see the future coming and stuff. Yeah,
That's giving massive relief to everybody. I think you can see all the smiling faces and things today, so yeah, great news.
And for an area already struggling in a challenging economic climate, there's hope the news will bring some stability and reassurance to the wider community.
We were seeing just up the road that's happening in Grangemouth, thousands of jobs going there. It's not just actually in the plant, it's the whole economy around this whole area. It'd have been devastating, and it'd have really struggled to come back from that.
But the financial support from the government relies on evidence of future orders.
We've had an improving situation over the last few weeks, which is really helpful. And there's been a few things going on in the background too. There's obviously the Scottish Government announcement for more funding for zero-emission buses, which we have to compete for. But I can see the historical registrations of buses. We know what the commitments are for fleet replacement. So when we still have to win, we still have to compete, we still have to give our customers what they want and more. But we feel confident that we can do well.
It's still unclear when staff will fully return to work and will see operations return to normal. But tonight there's a sigh of relief from both staff and the community as the firm takes a positive step towards securing the future of this area and Scotland's manufacturing workforce. Amy Flett, STV News, Falkirk.
Well, meanwhile, on Clydeside, the future of shipbuilding at Ferguson's Port Glasgow yard is on the agenda. Community leaders there are urging the Scottish Government to award a crucial Calmac ferry contract to the Inverclyde yard and secure its future. It's the start of a campaign to restore the beleaguered firm's reputation following those endless delays and soaring costs for 2 other ferries. The Scottish Government says it's still considering the next steps for replacing the Lord of the Isles vessel. Here's our political correspondent, Ewan Petrie.
Well, launch day was always exciting in Port Glasgow. Our families were always invited. It was an open doors launch.
Alec has worked at the Ferguson Marine shipyard for 47 years.
The big new shed wasn't there.
And for Lord of the Isles, what were you doing that day on the launch?
I'd probably be standing under the boat for the splitting out of the waves where the shipwrights start and just ready to launch it, getting it prepared for launching.
36 years after its launch, the Lord of the Isles is due to be replaced. How critical is it that that ship does come to this yard?
It's very critical timing just now. Obviously we're still trying to get the Glen Rose over the line, get that away. The only other order we've got just now is the BA Systems work that we've managed to secure. And it's okay to get us through the peaks and troughs, but we really need a direct award of an order to keep us yard alive.
If it doesn't come then, what are the consequences?
I wouldn't like to think of the consequences of losing this shipyard to the Lower Clyde. A big blow if this shipyard was to disappear.
The Glen Rosa is due to be completed next spring. Once gone, there will be no vessels being built here and none in the pipeline. And that is why this community is joining forces with workers. Together they're stepping up pressure on the Scottish Government to award the contract to replace the Lord of the Isles directly to Ferguson Marine. They also want a closer partnership between this publicly owned shipyard and the ferry company. Drew runs a butcher shop a short walk from Ferguson's. He's also the Provost of Inverclyde.
Well, Ferguson shipyard that builds ferries, we have got Seamal, which commissions ferries, and we've got Calmac that sails ferries. We've got 3 companies all based in Inverclyde here, and it's time they got together and built their ferries within their group at a price that everybody's happy for.
The yard is also a key employer in the area.
The people who work for Ferguson's, well, they have families, and so obviously there'll be children. Child poverty is a big issue in Inverclyde, and one of the things we often say within the Child Poverty Action Group is that children aren't in poverty, it's their parents who are in poverty. So if the jobs within the yard could prevent that, then that would be fantastic.
The Scottish Government says it considers contracts on a case-by-case basis, but direct awards are only possible in strictly limited circumstances. Its decision could offer some hope on the horizon for this shipyard. Ewan Petrie, STV News, Port Glasgow.
And our political editor Colin Mackay is here with us now. Colin, manufacturing jobs on the agenda today. Firstly, Ferguson's, where are we at?
Well, the Scottish Government has saved Ferguson's in the past, so it's not going to want to let it close, particularly in the run-up to an election next year. If they can make a direct award, they say they will do that. But it is a big if. What the yard really needs, like everywhere else, is new orders.
And what about Alexander Dennis? What can you tell us there?
Well, in some ways that's the model for Ferguson's because it's all about new orders for them. Their order book is empty right now, but the Scottish Government is reopening their subsidy scheme for low-emission buses. Now, what it looks to me as if is going to happen is that a leasing company is going to place orders for new buses from the factory, and that will get things moving in about 6 months' time. The furlough scheme will keep things going in the meantime. The Scottish Government's putting in £4 million. That's a lot cheaper, a lot less than it would cost to create these jobs. The company's also putting in £1 million. That secures the manufacturing jobs, but I think a few jobs will still go, probably I think one of the things they're looking at is closing the Camelin plant and moving everything to Larbar. And in among all this, the workers have played their part too, because they've agreed to take some cuts to their terms and conditions to save their jobs. It's been a lot of work from all sides, but they've got there.
All right, Colin. Look, thanks very much for joining us in the studio. Thank you. Keir Starmer says he would never have appointed Peter Mandelson as US ambassador if he knew the detail of his friendship with the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Our Westminster correspondent Paris Gertzianis joins us now. And pressure is mounting on the Prime Minister, Paris.
Indeed, Kellyanne, and because this was the first time we heard from the Prime Minister since he sacked Peter Mandelson last week, that's left the door open to days of speculation and questions about what he knew when and why he hasn't gripped this situation and solved it earlier. There's even been talk in some quarters about who might follow Keir Starmer as leader of the Labour Party. Now, that might be Westminster getting a bit overexcited, as it occasionally does, but it shows the depth of unhappiness among Labour MPs about the party's stand in the polls and the stagnant economy and the leadership being provided by 10 Downing Street. So far this month, Keir Starmer has tried to relaunch his government, but he's lost his deputy, Angela Rayner. He's had to sack his US ambassador. And today he also lost a senior aide who had to resign over historic social media, WhatsApp messages with insulting and sexually explicit messages about the MP, Diane Abbott. So it was really crucial that the Prime Minister came out today and defended his actions and conduct on Peter Mandelson.
I knew of his association with Epstein, but had I known then what I know now, I'd have never appointed him. Because what emerged last week were emails, Bloomberg emails, which showed that the nature and extent of the relationship that Peter Mandelson had with Epstein was far different to what I had understood to be the position when I appointed him. On top of that, what the email showed was he was not only questioning, but wanting to challenge the conviction of Epstein at the time. That, for me, went and cut across the whole approach that I've taken on violence against women and girls for many years, and this government's approach.
Remember that this all comes the day before Donald Trump arrives in the UK for a crucial and historic state visit, with trade deals on the line, including a potential deal to cut whiskey tariffs that affect producers in Scotland. The last thing either leader wants to be talking about is Jeffrey Epstein, particularly the US president, who's faced difficult questions on that in the past.
All right, Paris, thank you very much. We'll become the land of the £30 burger. That's the warning from hospitality bosses who say unless VAT rates are cut in pubs and restaurants, prices will have to rise. They argue the 20% rate is a further burden on a sector already hit by the cost of living crisis and the national insurance rise. And an estimated 86,000 jobs have gone already this year, as Ollie Dickinson reports.
That's just expensive.
In this Italian restaurant and thousands of others like it, on every order and every bill that rolls off the till, there is a 20% charge, value-added tax or VAT. And hospitality bosses say it's a cost they can no longer stomach.
As busy as we are, every day is a new challenge. The D&I increase, top of the VAT, 20%, alongside all the other costs that are rising, is making it very difficult.
20% though is twice the rate on eating out versus in France, Italy and Spain, and more than double the rate in Ireland, Germany and Sweden. And research shows that in Germany, the rate cut to 7% has generated almost 50,000 new hospitality jobs.
We already impounded by the 20% VAT. Then Rachel Reeves hits us with an extra, employers' national insurance and hospitality jobs around 25% on the job boards. And it's getting worse. So I think it's now really time for Rachel Reeves and the UK government to pin back the ears and actually listen to industry and say, we need to sort this now.
UK government intervention isn't off the menu. The then Tory government reduced the VAT rate during COVID, leaving businesses to ask, Why not do the same now?
It is baffling. We just seem to be the golden goose. There's no help coming. We're on our own. We've got to try and navigate these incredibly choppy waters by ourselves. And there is no exaggeration into how hard it is to operate in hospitality right now. A VAT reduction for the hospitality sector would be a much needed lifeline.
Owners say they're left stretching thinner and thinner margins, and if help doesn't come, difficult choices must be made.
Without a VAT reduction, the customers are going to feel it at the till. That has to happen, because otherwise we're going to be loss-making businesses and there's going to be fewer of us around. We've lost 89,000 jobs in hospitality already this year. There is no sign of that stopping. How do we fund expansion when there is no profit to pay for the expansion?
With an autumn budget looming, the hospitality industry says Rachel Reeves must now produce something that doesn't leave a bitter taste in their mouth. Ollie Dickinson, STV News.
Russell Martin's still in the spotlight. Let's get all your sport now from Raman.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
Good evening. After Russell Martin retained the support of the Rangers board to continue as head coach, fans are threatening to boycott matches until Martin is sacked. Many more supporters turned on the beleaguered Ibrox boss during and after the 2-0 defeat to Hearts at the weekend. Captain James Tavernier branded the loss as shameful and embarrassing.
Will you resign?
No.
The fans want you to go?
I don't think many of them wanted me here in the first place. We have a lot of players trying to feel their way in an environment that's really difficult. It's not big tactical problems. The problems are the emotion, managing anxiety, are psychological. We'll keep working until I'm told not to.
When Russell Martin was appointed Rangers head coach in June, he vowed to win matches, win trophies and give the fans a team that they can be proud of. 3 months into his tenure, the reality is Rangers have regressed. They've yet to win a league game and look far from being in contention for silverware.
I can definitely say everyone's obviously ashamed in that dressing room. It's embarrassing, you know, to lose 2-0 at home. First and foremost, the players have to play for the shirt. They have to play for the manager, they have to play for the fans, they have to play for the club.
Following the defeat to Hearts at the weekend, Martin still retains the support of the Rangers board, but for how much longer? For the first time since 1978, Rangers haven't won any of their first 5 league games. They've plunged to 10th place in the Scottish Premiership. Martin's team have won just 3 out of 12 competitive games. And last month, Rangers' 9-1 aggregate defeat to Club Brugge in the Champions League playoffs echoed their heaviest loss in Europe.
Russell Martin's a manager that most of the supporters didn't want in the first place, and he's unfortunately proved them correct in terms of how bad the team have been, and he was the target on Saturday for what I would say was probably the most sustained abuse I've seen at Ibrox in all the time I've been there. I think there's a mixture of apathy and anger. There's obviously anger, which you saw on Saturday. But I think if you look underneath that, the cup tie's not selling out particularly well, the European packages aren't selling particularly well, hospitality isn't selling out Saturday there. I think fans are starting to vote with their feet already, and that'll only get worse.
We'll find out on Saturday just how many Rangers fans will vote with their feet when the club hosts Hibs in the quarter-finals of the League Cup. David Gray's side go into the tie after fighting back from 3-1 down to draw 3-3 at home to Dundee United in the Premiership at the weekend. Now, after scoring a last-gasp winner on his debut for Celtic at Rugby Park yesterday, Kelechi Iheanacho believes Brendan Rodgers will bring the best out of him. While Killie Vice captain Robbie Dees says he's raging the champions were awarded a controversial late penalty as his side lost 2-1. Diaz Almeida gave the visitors the lead early in the second half. Then, with less than 10 minutes remaining, David Watson equalised with this bullet header. Then, in the 93rd minute, following a VAR intervention, Kilmarnock defender Lewis Mayo was penalised for handball in the box. Substitute Iheanacho, who played under Rodgers while at Leicester City, scored the penalty.
He knows me really well and he can bring the best out of me as well. So I think
coming here is really good for me as well to play under him, to play in this great club. So I think I'll give my best for the club.
I've seen it back. I don't understand how it's been given, but I blocked the shot away for goal and Mail's not even half a yard away from me. I'm a bit speechless. I'm raging inside. He actually looked like the team that was going to go on and win the game, and then to go and lose the game in that sort of mannerism is just an absolute sickener.
Well, following the weekend's games, this is how the Premiership looks. It's still neck and neck between Celtic and Hearts at the top. Hibs remain third. Well, following Hearts' impressive start to the campaign, former player Gary Wales says with Derek McInnes in the dugout, they have a good chance to stay in the hunt. Here's Jamie Borthwick.
How it feels to end more than 10 years of misery at Ibrox and sit at the top of the league. But a strong start from a team outside of the Big Two is nothing new. The question is whether they can sustain the challenge.
This is a strong sort of looking squad that I dare say could cause an upset. I think, again, coming back to it, it's really who's at the helm with it all. You know, I think in years past, it's not really been tried and tested managers that have had the opportunity. You know, it's almost been like give people a chance, whereas now we've got a pedigree within the manager who can do that, and hopefully this is the year that might just happen.
This was a statement victory, one that today moved the bookmakers to install Hearts as second favourites for the title.
Of course everybody would want to see that, but we're not getting ahead of ourselves here. We've had a good start to the league, we're 5 games in, and as I said, we'll just look to keep taking game by game, try to win them all.
It was a strong performance. I'm delighted with what the players put into it, but we need to get ready for the next one, and the next one's another challenge. So we're no all that, but we're giving everybody a bit of encouragement that we can be.
Just over a month ago, Tony Bloom, Hearts' new major investor, predicted a challenge to the top 2. Coming off the back of a season of disappointment last term, the Tynecastle support is daring to dream.
It's just, I think, building a bit more trust within the fans, but also that excitement, enthusiasm as to what can happen this season. I think Tony Bloom's comment has really given a shot of life to the Hearts fans, and the start of the season just added to that. So it's just had a really positive snowball effect.
Hearts will have to wait a fortnight to defend their lofty league position when Falkirk visit Tynecastle. Jamie Borthwick, STV Sport.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
And folks, that's all your sport tonight. I'll see you again tomorrow. Kellyanne.
All right, Rahman, thank you. All right, well, Philip's here with the weather now. And Philip, I hope you've got good news for us.
Well, unfortunately not, Kellyanne. I know. It's safe to say that conditions have certainly turned autumnal lately. And for this upcoming week, that theme continues. Taking a broader look at the week ahead, tomorrow looks set to be the best day of the week. Not exactly wall-to-wall sunshine, but overall drier and brighter for most with lighter winds. It doesn't last long, however, as then our next area of low pressure arrives from the west overnight, and that will bring with it some heavy rain and strong winds on Wednesday. Let's take a closer look at what's in store. Here is the forecast.
Midday Mayan temples, followed by sunny afternoons on the sand. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, as we head through the rest of this evening and overnight, we've got low pressure pulling away to the north and the northeast. This band of more organised showers just on the back edge of that low pressure system will slowly start to sink southwards. And it does mean through the second half of the night, it will be turning largely dry with some clearer skies developing. Where we've got the clear conditions, could see some mist and fog patches forming. In rural spots, temperatures will get down to around 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. For most towns and cities, though, sitting at around 10 or 11, so staying in double figures. Looking ahead to tomorrow morning, first thing, it's a bright start to the day for the vast majority of us, remaining largely dry. Throughout the course of the afternoon, though, we'll start to see some further scattered showers spreading in. So through the afternoon, a mixture of sunny spells, scattered showers. There will be less showers around compared to today, however, more in the way of brightness. So that means our temperatures will be up a degree or two compared to today, reaching highs of around 16, possibly 17 degrees Celsius. Then looking ahead to Wednesday, Overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, our next system will have moved in from the southwest, bringing with it fairly widespread patchy rain and drizzle. That clears north and northeastwards, but with low pressure just off the west coast, it does mean that we'll see some quite strong winds reaching gale force around western coastal parts. A breezy day for most of us and highs of 16 or 17. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And finally, Julia Donaldson's been a household name among parents and children for decades. And today, kids in Mulgai had a real treat, getting to meet the woman behind the Gruffalo, whilst also getting a glimpse of her new book. Raheem Cham joined her young fans for a special story time.
She's known for her classic, the Gruffalo, that mystical creature with terrible tusks and terrible claws and terrible teeth in his terrible jaws. But now, a new chapter for author Julia Donaldson.
I've written 2 books about trees before, both illustrated by a Norwegian illustrator, Victoria Sando. So I wanted a story about that. But then I thought, well, I want a bit more emotion in the story. So I've woven it into a story about a boy and a girl who become friends, but then they lose each other. And the way they find each other is through paper.
Paper Chase is a story about friendship, with rhymes and illustrations. It all starts under one tall tree and tells the story of how it is turned into paper. And here in Mulgai, families are hoping for a signed copy.
Why do you like her books? What is so special about her books? Is it the way she writes, the rhymes, or the characters?
Well, I really like all the characters, and she's very creative when making the books.
Stickman, and it's got loads of good pictures, and it's like it could be cool if it was a true story.
They're absolutely wonderful books. I mean, I think almost every night we're reading a Julia Donaldson book of some kind. We've even got grandparents who are now loving Julia Donaldson, so we've actually got a book here for a Christmas present for Grandad.
So lovely to have Julia Donaldson here. She's written all their children's favourite stories. So yeah, it's really an honour to meet her.
It's unbelievable, to be honest. I'm so happy that Julia chose to come here as part of her book tour. I know she's only going to limited numbers of shops, so it meant a lot to us that she decided to come here to do part of her book launch.
And just as the wee mouse outsmarted the Gruffalo, Julia proves again that small ideas can spark big adventures. Raheem Cham, STV News, Mulgai.
Oh, Gruffalo crumble, that's making my tummy rumble, so it's definitely time for dinner. That's it from us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.